Welcome to the 4.8 lesson in our linear equation unit. All right, up till now, we've been looking at the equation of a line for the most part in this format, and now which has been very, very, very handy for us to have it in that format. We haven't been calling it this till now, but we call this the slope intercept form. And once you see us calling it that, you'll should see why. And as we see here, we like this form because we can easily determine the slope of the line. And it also gives us B, which is the y-intercept. Just write in for short there. And it's so nice to have that because we can draw the line so easy if we know where it crosses the y-axis, and if we know the slope, because from that one point we can find out many other points and then draw the line nice. And the other advantage, we haven't been using our calculator much, but if you remember, we went to the button that said y equals to graph some lines, and in order to do that, we have to have everything to the one side of the equal sign and y on the other. You have to have y isolated to be able to use the calculator and enter it that way. And so that's also handy in that way. However, there are other ways to write the line, and we're going to look at that. And it's going to be hard to maybe see why we do this, but in grade 10, you're going to find out that it's very helpful for other reasons in a line to be able to do what we call the standard form up here and that. So let's look, because you're going to get lines that are in this. So here, it's always good. We're always going to be brushing up on our algebra skills. If we see in part A here, we want equations can be given in other forms, so we want to rewrite them to get it into our slope intercept form so that we can graph it and understand the line better. Because if you know the slope and the y-intercept, you almost visualize the line in your head. So if we're looking here, we see to isolate y that we've got to get 2 to the other side, so that this becomes y is equal to 10x plus 8 subtract 2. And if we collect like terms, we're going to get y is equal to 10x plus 6. So now we know the slope is 10 and the y-intercept is 6. Very steep line, and cutting the y-axis at 6. And that. So let's move things up and continue along here. Now, this B part, we see, well, we do have y on one side, so some of you might think it's good, but if you remember your calculator or the form y equals mx plus b, it's one single y value on the left-hand side. So what we have to do in this case, when you have your 3y is equal to 12x, we have to divide all terms in the equation. Whatever you do to one, you have to do to all others. So if we divide this by 3, because y is being multiplied by 3, we have to undo that divide by dividing by 3. And then what we get is our single y is equal to, and 3 goes into 12 4 times, so it's 4x. And here we got a direct variation. B is 0. We don't see a b value, so it's going through the origin. So our slope is 4, and b is 0. And in this other sample in C part, again, and a lot of people have problems with this. We've got to divide all things by 3. Some might just divide this by 3 and forget that other term. So in this case, we'll finally get y is equal to, and remember, leave it as a fraction because the fraction shows us the rise over the run. Unless it's kind of a money or a science problem, don't put it as a decimal. So 5/3 x, and 3 goes into 15 5 times, so it's plus 5. So here we've got our slope of 5/3 and B, our y-intercept is 5. Now, so the equation of a line can also be expressed in what we call, and you can tell from the heading, we call it standard form. And in standard form, it's going to look like our, right here we see ax plus by plus c is equal to 0. So what this means is so all terms on the left-hand side I'm going to put left-hand side, and A, B, and C are integers, so no fractions, and A is positive, and that. So if I even look back above, this is almost in, like, this isn't in standard form. If I was to change that to standard form, I would have to bring the two terms on the right over to the other side, which would give me negative 5x plus 3y subtract 15 is equal to 0. But that itself isn't right either, because the coefficient of x, has to be positive. So it's like I have to multiply everything by -1 or change every sign. When I change one sign, I got to change them all. So standard form here would actually be 5x take away 3y plus 15 is equal to 0. That would be the standard form. Now we have some things down below to just look at for our last one. So if I do this one, here it is in standard form. I've got A is positive and everything else is an integer. So everything's good there. But if I go now, I've got to work that out to find out how we like the M and the B. So I'm going to go and move this to the other side and this to the other side. So I'll get negative 3y is equal to negative 12x subtract 31. Now, I'm going to be dividing everything by -3. Got to also be the same size there, sign there. And this is going to give me y is equal to, a negative over a negative is positive. 3 goes into 12 4 times. And a negative over negative is positive, and I'm going to leave this as 31/3 because that can't be reduced. So here my slope is 4, and it doesn't pass 31/3 is my B, so it's passing at 10 1/3 on the y-axis. All right, so that's your little introduction to 4.8.